When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, you said the man with the pistol's a dead man. Let's see if that's true. Go ahead. Load up and shoot.
That's right. We watched A Fistful of Dollars this week on The Movie Gap, the podcast that has you scream.
How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that?
How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? Little darling, how have you not seen this?
How have you not seen it?
Welcome to The Movie Gap. I am your host, Chase Austin. And as always, the child who gets shot at in the street, Bryce Perkins.
What's up? Hello.
Little baby Jesus.
Little baby. Oh my God. Can we talk about that kid's accent?
We'll get to
All
it.
right.
We'll get to it. And there's a reason for a lot of these
Oh yeah.
it's so weird
because they were white people being cast as Mexicans.
Well,
and they were doing fucking.
no, it's even crazier than you're thinking.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
and like once you hear, like once I tell you this thing, you're gonna be like, oh, now everything makes sense.
Oh, they're Italians.
Okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
So but before we get right into this movie, which I can tell you were just chomping at the bit for,
Yes.
way more excited than I think even you thought you were going to be when we decided to do this film.
Well, that's not necessarily true because I've been wanting to do this one for a while now. At least since last year, I've been saying I want to do those because they were on Hulu. Now they're not, of course. So thank you for making me wait and have to pay for it. But it's all good.
Free,
you know, you can. Wait, where'd you get it for free at?
I just went to my Roku and just searched Fistful of Dollars or A Fistful of Dollars, and it popped up, it pops up all the places you can get it. And one of them was like movieflix.tv, which has an app that I could download on Roku.
Yeah.
And then I went into it and it was there for free.
Oh, man.
And that's how I watched Wayne's World the other day. I did the same thing because I looked on my Just Watch app. There's a website called Just Watch. It's also an app. That's the best way to figure out. That's what we use usually. Yeah, that's the best way to figure out what streaming service something is on. But it doesn't get into all of these random nothing services that for some reason pop up on Roku. I'm not really certain what they are. But I saw Wayne's World on one that was called Woof TV.
Okay.
WHUF.TV.
Okay.
And that was how I saw that. So this one was on movieflix.tv or something. And it has terrible quality, they're all pretty bad DVD quality of all these old westerns and stuff, which I wish that I had watched this one in a restored version, but also watching it in that unrestored DVD quality was kind of neat.
Well, did it have ads in it?
No, this had no ads.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's where one place that Roku apparently has Amazon beat.
Yeah.
Because I did, we use the Fire Stick, no ad intended here. They don't, Bezos has enough money as it is, but that's what we happen to use. And usually you search for it on the, on the Amazon homepage in the Fire Stick, and it'll show you all the apps that you can play it on.
Yeah.
It didn't give me any of those fucking options. The only options it gave me was rent it. And then it said more ways to watch it. Click on that, and it says you can rent it in all these different versions from Amazon Prime. So maybe but
people
out there consider that if you're thinking about Fire Stick or Roku. Maybe
being the first time that you have seen it, it was worth $4.
Oh, it certainly was
or whatever.
At the end of the day, it was. But you can Venmo me later. Better. It's all good.
The quality, because I'm sure it was HD. It was one of the HD restorations.
Yeah, it was.
The one I watched was a 2004 restoration. It said at the end.
Probably
so it was still DVD quality.
Was the framing weird?
No, everything looked fine.
No,
it was still widescreen. It was a widescreen transfer. It was just,
It was just an upload of a DVD, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't 1080p.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was definitely watching in that HD, baby. You know what I'm saying? I was getting all that, all those wrinkles on old Eastwood's eyes, all those crow's feet.
Which is something I want to talk about with this film a lot too, is just the faces and everything. But
yeah, I did. I remember I texted you. I said, pay attention to the framing of the faces and groups of faces. It is really genius, and I'm glad that you took note of what I texted you.
I did. So before we get into it, Bryce, how have you been?
Well, I am swimming in the dough, baby. I am, I'm not one to really, get into my own financials or anything or brag about it, but I am doing pretty well, let's just say. All of our workarounds from the, cease and desist from the FDA have been paying off dutifully and beautifully, if you will. And we've only had, we make sure that we can't really be traced because obviously we don't want to, have fines brought down upon us, potentially go to jail. Been there, done that, okay. Wrongfully accused with my deal with Mr. Coffee, as we all remember. But we've only received a few complaints from customers. But other than that, doing pretty good. Let's just say the lawsuits we've received, I'm making enough to cover.
Yeah.
Okay,
for the listener, what are you talking about? The new listener.
Well, I have to be a little coy about it now. But let's just say you can smell like a gentleman and be what's the word? Socially responsible by also being protected from COVID, so you can be around your friends without worrying about spreading it to them, which is very important. All in one. Let's just say it's all in one in the form of a fragrance, if you will, quote unquote. Some might call it a cologne. Some might call it a perfume for the ladies.
Yeah, it's a fragrance.
Yeah,
a fragrance. Mogul.
Yep. And
what you're turning into.
Yep. And we have many different smells.
Now, you were telling me that because this is your own small business, that you have been able to take out lots and lots of PPE loans and get tons of free money from the government to keep your business afloat, which is like kind of iffy.
I don't see. I mean, I was kind of telling you about that behind the scenes when I was trying to get you in on it, but there's nothing illegal about it. So
you were telling me that you were getting that money just in case you had to fight lawsuits. Like you wanted to have that nest egg. But it sounds like the lawsuits aren't going to be there.
Let's say that I was using it for the business, Chase. Okay, where it wasn't. I'm definitely not nest egging any of it. I'm using all of it to pay my employees.
Yeah, you just don't have a ton of employees, but they get paid very well.
You could say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm doing pretty well, man. And you know what? Don't ask me to get in on it now. You missed your chance, Chase.
All right. I know you sent me that picture of that boat that you bought. I think the name of the boat was PPE.
I did buy that.
Like you named your boat PPE, which I thought was telling.
Yeah, I did. It was it telling?
Yeah.
How so?
I don't know. Like I thought that maybe you bought it with a PPE load, but I'm sure that stands for something else.
It does.
It's just coincidence.
It does. I'm not going to get into it.
Well, what does it stand for? What does it stand for?
It stands for payroll protection emergency.
That's the name of your boat?
Fund.
the name of your boat
I didn't put the F, though, because it was three letters to it.
The F is silent, or not silent, invisible.
I'm just so proud of what I've been able to do for my employee that I wanted to show it off to the world.
It's a company
boat.
Yeah.
Obviously.
All right.
Obviously.
All right.
We are the gold standard. The future of the industry.
Yeah, I still don't know what he's saying. I still can't understand what he's saying. I know, but I try to listen.
We are the gold standard.
Yeah,
the future of this fucking industry.
That's right. Yeah. It's his mask. It's because he was responsible, masked up. It worked out in his favor. It's hard to understand what he's saying.
All right.
But yeah, so that's that. And I did buy that boat. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the name. I'm basically saying, if you have any questions on whether or not I bought the boat, this is where the money sort of came from.
A PPE is the.
It is.
Yeah. But that's what I meant. PPE is. Equipment.
Oh no. Yeah.
PPP is the loan.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I messed up.
You did, but you did. Well, no, you got the name of the boat right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the boat is. PPE.
It is named PPE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you saw it. You saw that correctly. My funding came from a different source.
You were
a different. Well, you're different.
Making,
let's call them a government.
Basically, PPE. This fragrance protecting people from.
You could say You know what?
Because it's not a vaccine.
Yeah,
it's not a vaccine.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's a preventative.
Yeah. And you've been taking subsidies from the government to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. From let's just call them a government.
We don't know which government.
Yeah, we'll not get into that part. Yeah. But let's just. But again, once again, you missed the boat, Chase. No pun intended. No pun intended.
You chose poorly.
Yes, you did. Yeah. So. Maybe next time you'll fucking listen to me and stop being like, dude, you killed a guy the last time you got into business. You fucking should trust me this time, okay?
Yep.
So
I should.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm also realizing I should frame it where Danny McBride's face is not in because.
Is his face there? Oh, it's
and
it's
the focus
on his face. The
focus keeps trying
That's great.
It goes, do I want to do the one that's obviously a human face or the cardboard cutout in the dark behind him?
Hey, that's the power of the technology and this cheap camera, man. That's how far we've come. You can get a cheap camera that can recognize a face.
And with a face like Danny McBride, you want that in focus.
You gotta.
Anyway. I mean, the eye goes right to it.
I mean, you said you should not have it in there. I immediately was like, why would we not? With a face like that.
All right.
So,
well, let's get into this film.
Please.
A Fistful of Dollars.
This is what the people have been waiting for.
This movie, along with the other ones of the Dollar trilogy, which also has become known as the Man with No Name trilogy.
Right. One of my biggest questions.
Yeah. So, it kind of became known as the Man with No Name trilogy because the third one doesn't have dollar in the title, but he's also credited as Joe in this movie. So, there's
that's what that's my first question. I thought this was a man with no name. What the fuck? He has a name. Yeah. What's going on here?
That's
but this was before
only like one person calls
they didn't become the Man with No Name. This wasn't. They had no idea this was going to be a trilogy at the time.
Yeah, it's not even really a hard and fast trilogy. It's not
right.
It's not chronological about the same guy. It's just kind of like this stranger, this Man with No Name.
Right. So, the Stranger.
Yeah,
I get one of those every night.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, do you want me to just get into my notes? Oh no, you need to ask.
Yeah. So first off,
a few things first.
Yeah. So first off, it is. Oh, I forgot my cell phone downstairs. Oh well. This has been on the list since the inception of.
Before we do get into any of this, we need to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by New Look Home Construction. The new equipment we have here is literally brought to you by them.
Yep.
For all your home construction needs in the greater Houston area, New Look Home Construction. Look them up online for all of your home remodeling needs. Okay. Yeah. And ask for Joe.
So yeah, back to good to get that business out of the way ahead of time, and let's get back into this. This has been on the list since the beginning of the list.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started this podcast, these were movies that were on there, and for whatever reason, they kept getting pushed around.
Yeah.
And we've finally gotten into them. So, that being said, what did you know about this movie going in?
Well, firstly, basically nothing except for a few key things. Obviously, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And I knew that this was pretty much where Clint Eastwood kind of got his start to fame.
It's not a start to fame. It's his first starring role. He was currently on the show Rawhide at the time.
Oh, wow. So he was doing Westerns in America when this film came out.
Well,
show.
I mean the show, Rawhide.
Did he ever appear on Bonanza?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. And I knew that it was I knew the composer was a man by the name of Ennio Morricone. I don't know how to really say it. It's Italian. I know it's very close to a very bad Spanish word, but it's Ennio Morricone, as far as I can tell. And he is a legendary composer, mostly known for this trilogy, as far as I know. So I knew that I had that to look forward to. And then another key point of reference for this movie came from us doing this show and doing it correctly, much to your credit, Chase. At your insistence, we did Yojimbo First a few weeks ago, earlier this year, so be sure to check that episode out. I would say maybe even go check it out first before we get into this one. Definitely watch Yojimbo First because I didn't know what the ties would be between Yojimbo and this movie.
Yeah, I think I had mentioned...
But I knew that there was it was definitely influential. I didn't realize that this movie was essentially going to be Yojimbo Goes West.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that it was a remake of Yojimbo.
Or like some kind of weird attempted remake where it was it wanted to be a remake, they couldn't get the rights, and so they were like, we'll just do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't even know necessarily that they tried to get the rights, but
so it could very much literally be a ripoff.
Yeah.
Did Sergio Leone?
There is some talk about like how all that went down, and like,
well, let's start there. Let's get backstory there, because that's kind of what I really want to know. Like, did Sergio Leone ever try to give Yojimbo credit for this movie publicly?
So, let's see here.
Not that he's necessarily responsible for that, or did somebody at least be like, hey, if you like this movie, you need to see this other movie, Yojimbo? Or did they kind of take the tack of, well, it's the 60s, global distribution is a lot harder right now than it will be in the future. We can get away with acting like we came up with this.
Yeah,
did they try to do that?
There's a lot of blaming of people who like, oh, well, I got the idea from this person who told me to get the idea from this person who got this. So basically, Yojimbo came out. Mm-hmm. Somebody at some point saw it and was like, hey, in the spaghetti western, like these Italian directors, who were currently doing westerns a lot, and they, which we'll get into that a little bit too, but somebody saw Yojimbo and said, we should make that into a western. They showed it to somebody else who then was like, oh, we could totally make that into a western, who showed it to, like, and then they all started working on it together, and then it became this movie.
A lot of hand switching.
Yeah, and then like it's a lot of like, well, it wasn't my idea, but I did write it. And it's like, well, it wasn't my idea, but I did help write it. Oh, well, I did see it and tell someone about it, but I didn't write it.
It's a lot of buck passing.
Yeah, because it was a major lawsuit.
Yeah,
not such a big deal in for the Italian release and everything, but because of the legal dispute, it was not distributed in America for like 4 years. It came out in 1964 in Italy, and then it didn't come out until 1967 in America because the studios were afraid to distribute it because they were going to get sued by Akira Kurosawa and Toho, the studio that made it. So I do know that I got a note about exactly what happened with the whole thing. So Kurosawa, Kikushima, and Toho, they all sued. They won, and as a result, they received 15% of the movie's worldwide gross and the exclusive distribution rights for Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. So in their market, they get paid. They get all the money. Yeah, and then they got 15% from everything else. And Kurosawa said that he made more money off of this film than he did off of Yojimbo.
Yeah, right. I imagine. Yeah.
So that aside, we will, as we go through, we will probably point out.
Yeah, the similarities.
This is Yojimbo.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, for the most part, it just is. It's Yojimbo in the West.
Yeah. Yojimbo goes west.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more streamlined. We were talking about it before. They kind of cut a little bit of the fat and made it a little more streamlined, made the story a little more streamlined.
Yeah, I mean,
but
basically
it is all the same major plot points.
All the stuff that could have any connection.
Exact fucking same.
Like all the stuff from Yojimbo that could have any connection to Japanese culture and like the way that Japanese towns and all that stuff is cut.
Yeah.
And it's just like the West where there are no rules.
Right.
So like there's not the warring families over control. It's just two gangs.
Right.
Like it's just very simplified.
Well, they were warring families.
Yeah, but it was not
Baxters
like
and
it wasn't
Ramones,
like, I have control of the gang, and because in Yojimbo it was this guy gave the control of the gang to his son instead of his right hand man, who then split off and created the two warring factions.
Right.
In this, it was just I have a gang, you have a gang, we don't like each other.
Yeah, right. But they even they took the characters and just tweaked them a little bit. I mean the mom in the Baxter's family had the exact same thing over her head,
and she was like the matriarch of the family.
Right,
and running the things from behind the scenes, more or less.
Yep, but they switched the roles of what happened in different families, because in Yojimbo it was, let's call them the Baxter side, was the ones that hired him first, and in this one it was the Ramon side that hired him first and whatever. But they even had the dumb brother, the smooth brother, who
the mayor, who was like the bell ringer.
Yeah, right.
They had
who
the
immediately greets
innkeeper,
him.
the saloon runner. They had the coffin maker,
the coffin maker,
was as giddy and weird as he was in the other one.
Yep.
They had the dumb fat guard on the one side.
Yeah, or the big guy.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, yep.
And then they had the son or whatever that was, I think he was a cousin in this. The one with he was the pistol guy in Yojimbo, and in this, since everybody has pistols, move it up the slide a notch.
He's got a rifle.
He's got a Winchester repeater.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And he enlightens us with an apparent old Mexican proverb that goes, if a man with a pistol meets a man with a rifle, the man with the pistol will soon be dead.
Yeah.
That's an old Mexican proverb. And I was like,
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one. It's just so specific.
All right. So, I guess we'll skip the synopsis because we just kind of gave one. It is Yojimbo.
Yeah. Right. Sure. Wait. Let's go ahead and do it. All right. Ready?
You ready?
Put me on the clock.
I'm going to pretend that I'm doing that since I left my phone downstairs.
And I have 30 seconds? A minute?
A minute.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to wait until the clock starts over, and I'll go by that.
Okay.
It says 1:32 p.m. right now.
I see that.
So we're going to wait till 1:33, and then you're going to start.
Okay.
All right. Now this is going to be the synopsis of A Fistful of Dollars by Bryce Perkins. Okay?
Yep.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It should be any second now. This is insanely interesting podcasting.
I know, because that's the thing about watching a clock move is it feels like, it's Yojimbo Goes West. Boom, done. Yes. I nailed it.
Wow, you really did.
Yep.
So, all right. So let's move right into it.
Okay.
Let's get your notes. I guess before we start, I want to talk about the something that you mentioned a little bit before. So this was an international co-production. So over in Italy, they had been making movies. This was not the first time any of these people had made a film. This was an established crew.
Mm-hmm.
They made probably 25, most of these, there had been about 25 or 30, spaghetti westerns as they're known now.
Mm-hmm.
But this is credited as being the first,
mm-hmm.
At least the first that really made it popular, because before this, they were not even released in America.
Mm-hmm. So
this is the one with an made for American. The idea to make it, to sell it to America with an American star, and it was Italy, West Germany, and Spain were the three countries that had ties into this film. All shot in Italy, all shot very cheap. I mean, the production value is insane because it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
and it looks like the fucking West in your mind.
Right.
With the old style, missions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like when you think of a Western, you think of these things probably for the most part.
Sure.
At the time, so Sergio Leone, the director of this film, was getting bored with American Westerns,
John Wayne shit.
Was coming like way too just like white hat, black hat.
Right.
They were romanticized and just there wasn't any edge to them, and they were just getting kind of bland. So he wanted to bring a little more teeth to it.
Yeah.
And just that Italian style of filmmaking that they do that he brings into this, and so he got Clint Eastwood and they made this film. So before they got Clint Eastwood, he actually wanted Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda passed, and because he didn't like the script. Then they went to James Coburn, who was too expensive. Then Charles Bronson turned it down. Charles Bronson turned it down because he was huge at this point.
Yeah.
And he said it was
him and Clint Eastwood are really kind of tight, because then he went on to do Death Wish, which is basically
Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
So he turned it down because he said it was the worst script I have ever seen.
Wow.
I mean, there's not even...
So these guys are not Yojimbo fans then.
There's not even 30 minutes of them talking about real estate in another country. So
they're thinking like,
that's
I barely have any lines. How is this going to be any good for me?
How am I not just taking all the time out to stop the movement of this plot to talk about real estate developments?
Right.
That's what Charles Bronson said.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's because the fucking Death Wish.
Yeah,
I know.
Check out our, we were on...
Well, see, he learned his lesson. He was like, well, the last really bad script I passed up fucking bit me in the ass, so I got to jump on this one.
We were on our friend Scott White's podcast, the Charles Bronson Burt Reynolds podcast, or the Burt Reynolds Charles Bronson podcast, where we did Death Wish. So go check that out. Anyway, so the third choice was Richard Harrison, who is in Rawhide with Clint Eastwood. He was like the lead, and he passed on it, but he said, hey, there's this guy I know who, no, not him. It wasn't Harrison. It was then, he then passed it on to Eric Fleming, who was the star of Rawhide, who then said, no, I don't want to do it, but I know a guy who's on the show with me who's itching to do film.
Yeah.
And that was Clint Eastwood.
Wow.
And so the Harrison has also said that his greatest contribution to cinema was not doing Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah, and passing it to Clint and suggesting Clint Eastwood. Yeah. No, for real. I mean, honestly, all of them passing on it, I would give them credit for that. Because if this was anyone other than Clint Eastwood, man, we're talking about a different movie.
Yeah, and Clint Eastwood, like one of the reasons he did Rawhide, he said, Fistful of Dollars, he said, this is a quote, in Rawhide, I did get awfully tired of playing the conventional white hat, the hero who kisses old ladies and dogs and was kind to everybody. I decided it was time to be an anti-hero. Now, on top of that, Clint Eastwood was still under contract for Rawhide, where he was not allowed to make any movies in the United States while he was on break from the series.
Okay.
So
it worked out.
His contract did allow him to go make an Italian film.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, all right, I'll go make an Italian film. He had never, he did not speak German. He did not speak Spanish. He did not speak Italian. He had never been to those countries, and he was like, it might be fun to see him, so I'll go do it. He got paid $15,000.
That's it. For how many weeks?
I think it was 6 weeks or maybe 8 weeks.
Wow.
Of shooting. And
so he ironically did not get a fistful of dollars for making this movie.
No, I mean, that's not bad then.
It's
especially
okay.
It was his first lead.
I guess
role.
Back then
he was not a lead either.
That's a decent year's salary back then, I suppose.
Yeah. So he went and he did the movie. When he got there, he realized that they don't know
who the fuck he is.
Well, of course they didn't know that, but they don't know. Well, first of all, they don't speak English. Nobody spoke English.
Not even Sergio Leone.
No. So the only way that he was really able to communicate with anybody was through his stuntman. who was an Italian who worked as the translator.
Wow.
Yeah. And but like in the script, it was like very obvious that they didn't know anything about the West. They had everybody wearing coonskin hats. And like they were
Clint had to help with the costumes.
No. He's like he had to rewrite parts of the script of just this is not what.
Is that true?
West, yeah, that's
Get
true.
out of here.
So they just weren't like they were getting the Western frontier, like the Davy Crockett stuff.
Wow,
confused with the Wild West.
That's so awesome. Yeah, so I kind of want to see that movie though. I know.
Well, I think if you go find some of those older spaghetti westerns,
you could probably see some of that.
Before 64, there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Just like this outside perspective on what they think, like how British people think everyone in Texas rides a horse and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. So Clint Eastwood also created his own visual style for the character. It was decided that they would the poncho was a thing that they got when they were there.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that was great. Which Yojimbo much?
Oh yeah, totally.
That's another just the visual look.
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood is so fucking badass in this movie, and he looks like a just badass.
Yeah, it's unreal.
But you put that poncho on, you're kind of like, I mean, that's kind of the same shit.
Oh yeah,
it's a Western version of the kimono.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it whips in the wind the same way. Yeah. Just instead of smoke, it's dust.
Right.
But anyway, so but it was his. He wore his boots from rawhide. He used his gun from rawhide. He bought some black jeans in Hollywood that he came with. The hat was from Santa Monica. Like he picked it all out, and he went to in Beverly Hills. He found these black cigars that he was like, this is super character.
These little Rillos.
And he cut them into thirds to make them smaller.
Yeah.
And Clint Eastwood is a non-smoker. But he was like, it's important for this character. Like, it's just so badass.
That can't be true.
Yeah, he's a non-smoker, and he
smoked cigars though. Certainly.
No, I mean, well, at least not at this point. He didn't. So he
Clint Eastwood didn't smoke cigarettes.
He did not like the cigars. That along with the arc lights that they use to light the stage and everything is one of the reasons he squints so much in this movie, which is iconic. And it's because the smoke's getting in his eyes.
God, dude, that's so cool.
That which is the iconic Clint Eastwood thing is that came from
Squint Eastwood.
Squint
that's what
Eastwood.
I call him. Yeah,
that's a good band name.
Squinting all the time. Squint Eastwood. It would be nowadays. Yeah.
They're a cover band of all.
It's all
spaghetti western.
It's all synth versions
of spaghetti western
country music
scores.
And stuff. It's synth covers of Garth Brooks songs.
Squint Eastwood.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also said that the taste of the cigars helped put him into that right frame of mind to play that surly.
I could totally see that,
dude.
But dude, he never smoked cigarettes. Nothing. Well, he is still alive, so I guess I could believe it. Yeah,
yeah, and it's just very much his badassness. He got in there, and he was talking to Leone, and one of the first things he was telling him about the script and everything is he was like, "My guy talks too much. I don't want to talk that much. It's not." He's like, "I could say that with a look.
Yeah,
it would be cooler. And he got him into it. He's like, the less he talks, which he doesn't talk very much.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. Especially,
he honestly talked more than I thought he was going to. But I guess I'm thinking of Good, Bad, and Ugly, where he talks even less.
I mean, I think it does take a turn. It becomes more of his character.
Yeah,
to not talk at all. But
who was the other guy that would say things like, "No, I could do that with a look"? Oh, it was Harrison Ford. Yeah.
So he talked him into that, and Leone obliged. And Leone has said that he wanted a mask for this movie. He didn't necessarily want a name. It was just somebody the look was everything.
Okay.
And he said that Clint Eastwood, and the reason that the not talking very much, because all of his talking is not against his rivals really. There's very little. It's very he does do those wry jokes against them. Just I'm a badass, But whenever else he's talking to the old coffin maker and all those people.
His old man helper, just like in Yojimbo, where he had his old man helper.
But Sergio Leone said that he was perfect because he had two expressions. With hat and without hat. That's the two expressions of Clint Eastwood in this film.
That's what Sergio Leone said about him. With hat and without hat.
With you got the two perfect expressions. With hat, without hat.
That's awesome.
Like he's literally an action figure for Sergio.
Yeah, right.
Leone to play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's funny. That's a funny way to describe it. But I mean, it's like true though. It is. It's. I see what he's talking about.
Yeah, and in going with that, like I said, nobody spoke English, so the entire movie is shot with no sound, which makes it cheaper and easier to shoot because you're only worried about filming. So there's no sound in the film. Everything is not only
they didn't have like live booms going while they were.
So there's all the sound effects are added in. All of the dialogue is replaced, and Eastwood didn't even do his dialogue until like '67, right before the movie came out, because
it was in Italian.
Yeah, and so
that's another thing.
So that's another aspect. All of these
it was all in Italian on its first release, right?
Yeah. And
like
now,
actually spoken in Italian.
If you watch the voices or the actors, sometimes they're speaking Italian, sometimes they're speaking German, sometimes they're speaking English and not well. Yeah. So like it doesn't match up. So it was dubbed in all these languages.
I didn't even catch that.
So all of the people that we're seeing, I'm not certain. I know Clint Eastwood did his own voice. But a lot of those are just actors hired to do Mexican accents over an Italian person playing a Mexican. So it's an Italian person playing a Mexican who's voiced by a white person doing a Mexican accent.
Yeah, right.
Or they might have gotten the Italians to do it, but like they didn't speak English, so I don't know who exactly these voices
So they didn't really do an English dub until it was time to release in America.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
and like,
man.
Yeah, so because in the Italian version, it's not even Clint Eastwood that does it. And the guy has like a gruffer voice. It's not as like playful.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me.
Sure.
But so it's like his performance didn't really come out until the American version. Yeah. Where he did his own.
Man, but, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's why like that's one reason
that little kid.
Yeah,
I want to see her. I want to see her. Papa. I want to see her.
And I'm fairly certain it's like a 35-year-old guy doing that voice.
or a 35-year-old girl, like Bart Simpson's voice actor.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Well, she's like 60 now.
Well, now, but yeah. But yeah, totally. I was just like, what is with this kid's voice, dude? Yeah. What is going on here?
But that being said, remember how Yojimbo starts? Okay, well, first of all, Yojimbo starts with him stopping at somebody's well for water. First shot of this movie, stopping for a well.
Yeah.
But he stops right in the town. And Yojimbo, it's like just outside of town.
Right.
Now, Yojimbo, that shot that they decided on, like, what's going to make this town look like a bad town? We'll have a dog run out with carrying a human.
Oh, yeah, right.
What was the shot that told you this is a bad town? In this movie,
kneeing the kid in the stomach,
and then shooting
at him, as he ran back to
crying, shooting at a crying child.
Right.
All right, I'll take it. That's a pretty bad town.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's no dog with a severed hand, but it's definitely something. Yeah. He definitely fucking like what is it? Vegeta punching Gohan or something in DBZ. Where you're like, damn, this dude, what the fuck?
Why is he hitting a kid?
It totally was that. Yeah, definitely. Actually, but there's actually more visualization that reminded me of DBZ more than once in this movie. And I wonder if Akira Toriyama did take some inspiration from this movie.
Or if he took it from Yojimbo even.
Yojimbo, sure. But it was specifically this fucking movie, and it's those shots we were talking about earlier.
That's one thing about this film is, yes, it's a ripoff of Yojimbo, but it's not, like, as much as it is, like, there's similar shots and, like, you could tell they were inspired by it.
Yeah.
This guy, Sergio Leone, he does things in this movie and the other ones where you're like, he fucking gets it.
Yeah,
like
dude.
His the cinematography,
his mise en scene, dude.
Yeah, it's the thing that stands out a lot in this movie is, I would say probably 75 to 80% of this movie is just extreme close-ups.
Yeah,
of just guys it's like this from just a slight angle, and it's just guys doing this.
Yeah, the looking around.
Yeah, just like. waiting, like not even reacting to something.
Yeah,
waiting for the thing to happen.
Right, dude. And it's something that's so subtle but has profound effect, right?
Yeah. I mean, he lets the camera like sit on their faces and tell, like, you can't help but like see these like grizzled faces and be like, that there's a story in that fucking face. Like, these are real people living in this old fucking town.
Yeah.
You know, that have like seen some shit.
Yeah.
And this is the craziest, but
right,
maybe it's not.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But well, I mean, and it's telling, it's dialogue without talking.
Yeah.
Because it's framed so well. And what's the way you would put it? You were saying something about like the group or the grouping of it, or the way the shot,
the composition of the shots, where like the
composition. That's the word I was looking for.
Just the grouping of the people in the background. Like there's one shot in particular that's, I don't know, it's like 30 minutes in or whatever. There's a whole bunch of guys kind of like walking, and then like all staggered around in the back, like getting ready for like a showdown thing. And then like this other guy just kind of comes into the foreground of the frame with this big sombrero, and it just takes it, and he's looking like, so like the frame, is looking at the side of his face, and then he just kind of turns into camera, and like you see everybody kind of revealed behind his hat. Like everything is shot so interesting that you never get a chance to get bored at the fact that nothing's going on.
Yeah, dude. And would you say that this was kind of one of the first? I mean, I'm trying to think of like how often that happened, shots like that happen in Yojimbo. And I don't know if there necessarily were shots exactly like that, but maybe like certain angles.
Well, yeah, Yojimbo was not as focused on close-ups, for sure.
And so I'm thinking like Leone, however you say it, had to have seen this movie and had to have been. It's like true inspiration, where you don't just copy, you're actually inspired to build upon what this other director did.
So he takes a lot of the he takes from Yojimbo, and he adds in a lot of the John Ford stuff that's the big Western director before this, and so Akira Kurosawa took a lot of John Ford stuff with the landscape shots, and he added that into it. What I feel like Leone does is he takes those landscape shots and that wide, you're seeing these like just breathtaking visuals, and he maintains that huge openness and brings it into just a face.
Right.
Like there's a way of just like looking at the landscape of this close up of just these people's faces, or just like six people, but it just feels huge,
That's so true. And like how serendipitous that the main character was Clint Eastwood for shots like that.
Yeah.
Because if anyone had the perfect fucking face for those shots,
well, it's like
Clint fucking Eastwood.
It's like Leone said. He goes, "I just wanted a mask. I just wanted this guy that looks like this." That's why he was looking at Bronson and all these other things. But he
dude, this guy, but Clint Eastwood, dude. I mean, the fact that he was the sixth guy down the line. No one had ever. Sergio Leone hadn't even really heard of him. Had to get told about him, and then he comes in and it's Clint fucking Eastwood. He's got to be sitting there going, "I hit the fucking jackpot, dude."
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's just no contest, man. No offense to Bronson, no offense to any of those other guys. It's no fucking contest, dude. Clint Eastwood is a fucking G, dude.
Yeah, it's one of those things like when, have you ever seen a Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the commentary of that, the directors and I think some of the producers, there's a commentary on it, and they're talking about how they got Chris Hemsworth, and at the time,
no one knew who the fuck he was.
Just this Australian actor, and they said the whole time we didn't want to tell him, but the whole time we were shooting, we're like, we just got the next big star.
Right.
This guy's going to be massive.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know what, but whatever he does, he's going to be the biggest star in the world one day. Right. Like the next thing he did was Thor, and now he's Chris fucking Hemsworth.
Right. Yeah.
But they said a lot of that is just how he looks, who he is, and then also he's like a really jovial, fun guy.
Yeah.
Which I don't think Clint Eastwood is necessarily that type of guy, but I think that he's not like a total asshole. Probably less so when he was 35 than when he was
right.
You know,
oh yeah, which by the way, how old was he when he was doing this movie?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he looks, he's got the crow's feet, which like plays into the fucking character so well.
Yeah,
but he certainly looks a lot younger now. But he's a lot older than you think.
Yeah, because
I mean, he's in his 30s, right? And this is his breakout.
Yeah. Let me pull up Clint Eastwood to find his age. Right.
Well, while you do that, I'll just get into
moving on.
What we were talking about outside before we started. This movie with anybody other than Clint Eastwood, man, the dude,
he was 34.
He was 34 when he did. Yeah. Dude, that's so fucking cool, man. Yeah. I mean, dude,
literally my age.
Right.
Am I fucking the stranger? No.
No, right. Yeah. I know, exactly. But dude, the dude looks like an Instagram model now. You know what I mean? The dude has this look about him that like he could be famous now and fit right in like back then, you know what I'm saying? But this was 1964.
Yeah.
People didn't fucking look like that in 1964, dude. You had John Wayne, you had fucking ugly fuckers like Jimmy Stewart and shit like that, you know? Just ugly motherfuckers everywhere, dude. And then this fucking guy comes on and he just goes like this. And you're just like, who the fuck is this fucking guy?
You know, and he's followed up by...
You're watching it. I'm watching it now and I'm going, this fucking guy is the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen.
I know,
dude.
It's the same thing we were talking about with Dirty Harry.
Right,
where it's like, this fucking guy is so cool. And like, but
dude, imagine
this lanky, tall motherfucker.
Imagine seeing that shit as a fucking 10-year-old, 15-year-old.
I did.
In 1967 when it came out in America, shot in 64, by the way, which is even crazier. Seeing that in the theaters and all the epic shit that goes on in those epic close-ups of this guy, there's no way you're not leaving that theater going, I'm a cowboy now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. No, that's what this is.
I cannot believe what I just seen. Like, who is this guy?
I mean, the whole, like, after watching this last night, like, I would be walking around and, like, every once in a while I'd look at my posters and just, like, shoot them. Like, just, like, you have to. It's like watching Rocky and not finding yourself shadow boxing on your way to the bathroom. Like, you're going to do it. Dude. That's what happens in this movie.
There's a reason this shit, like, still has impact today. I wish I could go back in time and witness it blow people's minds back then, because it had to have.
Yeah.
It fucking had to have blown people's minds.
It did. It is responsible for bringing, at this point in time, the Westerns were dying off.
Yeah. But to be fair, you had people like James Dean, you had people like Monty Cliff, very handsome gentlemen, Marlon Brando. But Clint Eastwood has this look about him that just seems so ahead of its time, dude. I don't know what it is about it.
I get it.
But he does not look like he's from the 60s.
I mean, I definitely think he looks
I remember thinking that as a kid. Like seeing Dirty Harry and being like, this movie is from, like, let's say I saw it on TV in like 94. I remember seeing it and being like, oh, this movie came out next year, even though I'm already watching it. You know what I mean? I always had this feeling about him.
I disagree with with how you're saying that he looks like people now, because I don't see that.
Okay, that's cool. We can move on now. So anyway, what's the next subject?
Like everybody looks younger. Like he still looks, rougher than people now.
I don't know. I guess maybe it's just,
but he doesn't look like an old. Like it's a different type of old.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like when you're talking about Jimmy
like
Stewart,
more of an
like
overall like kind of style and attitude about him or something. That just kind of feels way more modern than the 60s.
Yeah, because it's very Clint Eastwood. Like he created it, and then all of a sudden, it's getting emulated.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, this character is responsible for obviously the stuff that Clint Eastwood does, the westerns that he does, his Dirty Harry, and all of those are responsible for the grizzled detective character going forward, and the anti-hero going forward. And that's it is just now starting to change some too, with your like the anti-hero now is more snarky, it's the Iron Man style or the Ryan Reynolds kind of thing,
right,
where it's not as there's bases of it, I think, in this, because he is very sarcastic, but he's quiet. He's not super talkative.
Yeah,
It's more stoicism.
It's more walk, less talk.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I absolutely think you're right that this is different than anything they were seeing at that time.
But it's a beautiful serendipitous thing because it's the total package. It's the right star with the right director and the right composer for the score.
Yeah. Which
all
he did
into
not,
one.
Leone did not originally want to work
with Morricone.
Yeah, he did not think he was going to work out right. And Morricone actually scored this film before the movie was done, to the point where I think maybe even before they shot some of it, because Leone started holding shots longer to fill in with more of that score, which is again where we get those long nothing takes that feel so full of shit, you know, because of that score, because of what he's shooting.
Yeah.
You know, it's there's nothing about this movie that's boring.
Right.
But it should be.
Right.
You know, on paper.
Yeah, and speaking of that, this movie, well, I should say Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but the Man with No Name trilogy, I should say, is the most responsible movie for my not being interested in movies that have dirt and sand in them.
because as a kid,
yeah. My grandpa loved this movie, so anytime I was visiting them and if it was on, it would be on, and I would be, 5 and be
you're like, this is boring.
Boring? What, this dude has a poncho and I have a Game Boy? I would rather, what is this? This dude is sitting in a rocking chair. I'm fucking playing Nintendo. Come on, get out of my face with this shit. You know what I'm saying? This was the epitome of those kinds of movies of not being it was the reason why when I saw previews of Star Wars at first and they were flying in the Land Cruiser on Tatooine, Land Speeder, I was like, nope, not gonna watch that. That's just
more sand.
Western in space. I don't think
guess
so.
What? It was.
Which it was. And then same thing with Indiana Jones. I was like, oh, it's an old guy wearing another cowboy hat thing? No. No thank you. This was the epitome of that. And then I come full circle because I watch it now as a grown-ass man, and if the one word that I would never use to describe this movie, even though it's the word that should be able to describe this movie the most, is boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not
There's
boring.
nothing boring about it. It's really fucking intense and awesome. But
and
it just has this different pace,
The least exciting parts of this are the violence. It's so quick and nothing.
Right.
Which this movie was blowing people's minds with how violent it was.
Oh, right.
And a lot of it is because of the way
Did it get an NC-17?
I mean, it could have it.
There wasn't ratings back then, huh?
No, at this point, I don't know when the MPAA came around. It was in the 60s or 70s. It might have been the 70s.
Gotcha.
So, anyway, but the way that Hollywood shot people getting shot is you would see the guy, then you would see the guy shoot. So it would cut to the guy shooting.
Yeah.
Then it would cut to a reaction of the guy getting shot.
Yeah.
And in this, we're over the shoulder. We see
the guy getting hit and falling down.
Shoot, and the guy dies.
Yeah.
It's like this thing that in the Italian cinema and everything, they didn't know they were doing anything crazy. And Clint Eastwood apparently was like, well, you can't really do that in American film, but I want to see it. So
right.
Let's do it. And so at that, in your head, you're not thinking necessarily that's anything big, but what that does is for the first time, it now puts you in the position of shooting someone.
Yeah, right.
You are now seeing the violence as though you are purporting it, or you're from the perspective of that, which is
adjacent to it.
Yeah, which is just a whole different psychological effect.
Absolutely, certainly. Yeah.
That being said,
interesting.
It is the people getting shot. There's no squibs or anything. They're just going, oh,
yeah. I mean, you see some close-ups of which now you can tell is just paint.
Yeah, the blood. Yeah, but that's only at the very end. That's only at the very end.
You're right.
I mean, when
he's saying things like "prepare 3 coffins," and then he's like, "My bad, I meant 4." It's very oriented. He's very meaningfully going out there to kill people, which also kind of adds to the psychological aspect of it.
Yeah,
right?
And again, he's not white hat, black hat.
Yeah, right.
It's the anti-hero.
Right, exactly. It's the protagonist that's bragging about killing people, which back then I'm sure was ooh, you know, like nowadays it's like, oh, you're gonna kill me, whatever.
Yeah, because like, you know, westerns before
I'm
this,
so scared you're gonna shoot me.
It was very much like the sheriff is the good guy, and he's gonna stop anybody that's bad. And you know, in this movie, it's less about just the bad people and more about like it's what Yojimbo. I mean, we keep calling him Yojimbo. Yeah, that was not his name.
Yojim Joe.
Yeah, but like it's more about bringing peace on either side. Like, you know, it's not a good or bad. It's this, you know, it's quiet. You know, just like he says, you know, it's what you have what's his line about having the pocket full of money? You just all you care about is peace or something. It's a lot easier to care about peace.
You start caring more about peace or something like that. Yeah.
It's like once you have money, you don't have to really worry about anything. So, all right. Well, what else do you have moving on from there?
Oh, well, I have to talk about, I mean, we've talked about most of what I wanted to talk about, but we have to talk about the scene, or the sequence of scenes, or the sequence of shots when he returns after getting his ass kicked. Yeah. Like, okay, so
starting from what?
Well, so what happened? Let me preface this by saying when we did the Yojimbo episode, but this also happened in the movie Yojimbo. Like everything in this movie happened in Yojimbo, right? And
so you're talking about like in Yojimbo when he was in the graveyard hut.
Training himself.
And like, in this one, he was in the
healing and training himself. He was in the mine shaft or whatever. When Yojimbo comes back, and I talked about this in that episode, there's this epic shot of it. I can't remember if it pans or if it hard cuts, but it's of Yojimbo from a distance. So you see him like far ass away, standing in the middle of the town with all the smoke going on behind him, and it's just him standing there. And the music comes in and it looks badass, and you know he's about to just go fucking pillage motherfuckers. Yeah. Just fucking slice and dice, dude. And it's fucking epic as shit. And I remember talking about it in that episode. I was like, dude, that shot was fucking amazing. And so much to my very pleasant surprise, Leone apparently also thought the same thing.
I think it is just Leone, by the way.
Leone, okay. Also apparently thought the same thing because... they have the same plot happen in this movie where Joe gets hurt. He has to hide away. He trains himself to get better to where he can shoot with his right hand now. Oh, by the way, he's a lefty naturally. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Joe was. That's pretty cool.
That's because they did the close-up of them fucking up his shooting hand.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, in Yojimbo, he was learning how to throw that knife to take him down.
And he's strengthening his right hand to learn how to shoot and making himself a breastplate, which was so cool.
We'll get to that,
But so apparently Leone thought the same thing, though, and went out of his way to also create an epic entrance scene for Joe's character. And in doing so, I am of the opinion that he created what has to be a top 3, top 5
cinematic
sequence shots in all fucking time, dude. That shit was so... He took that one epic shot of Yojimbo and just fucking yes-anded that hoe to fucking stratospheric heights, man.
You do
it is so awesome, man.
He heightened it. Like he did. What he did in this film is better than what happened in Yojimbo.
Yes,
or his shot.
Oh, dude, it's one of the greatest sequence of shots that I have certainly ever seen, and it's got to be a top 5 all time greatest sequence of shots, dude. I mean,
it's cinema history.
Starting from when you see the dynamite explode, which was the calling that here he comes. You know, starting from there all the way to when it's about a 3-minute sequence of shots, all the way to when Ramon and his gang backs up and Ramon cocks his gun.
Yeah.
That fucking sequence is just so fucking unreal. Everything about it is fucking epic and just one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen in a movie, ever.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Ever. And also this goes into... something that I was talking about before with DBZ inspired thing, the way that smoke is there and it starts billowing away, and then you slowly see Joe.
Yeah, walking.
They do that in DBZ fucking all the time when you're like,
all the time,
Kamehameha, and then it's like, I got him, I really got him, and then fucking the smoke goes away, and Frieza's still standing there.
And I think there is a lot of that in Yojimbo that's like exactly the same, but it really does have a different effect in this movie, and I think part of that is just the color scheme too. Where like the black and white works well in Yojimbo, but like this with it's almost black and white, but with brown and white,
right? With sepia and shit like that.
Yeah,
but dude, it just everything about it he took to the next fucking level and beyond. I mean, the smoke billowing away instead of the smoke being behind him and you already see him. That idea of no, the smoke is going to be there and you don't know what's coming in the way. Dude, that had to have been the hardest thing to shoot, dude, to get that exactly right. You know what I mean?
Because I can't imagine.
It's not CG. It's all real, and it's zooming in as the smoke is billowing away, and it like so perfectly, just such a fucking dramatic, slow reveal of, there he is, and then the way that you get a lot of those epic close-ups of Ramon looking and being concerned, and like he knows he's about to get his ass whooped, and he's like, it's not him, is it? It's really him. And then the way that it cuts, and then the way it goes down, and then you just see the boots walk up, and then you see Ramon's boots, and it's like a battle of the boots, and then you see the fucking boots walk close, and then the boots walk away. You know what I'm saying? And then it slowly pans up, so everything is from down from where the boots were, and now you're seeing fucking Ramon and his gang from up, and then Ramon backs up and gets into his stance and fucking cocks his gun like, all right, I'm ready.
Oh yeah,
dude, it's
and again with that
fucking
setup
epic,
of
man.
the fore, middle, and background, and just the where Ramon is off, like in the foreground of the bottom right corner, or whatever.
Yeah,
and then it's just like looking back, like it's this landscape of like 6 dudes.
Yes,
but like it's this huge,
dude,
vision. It's
perception,
so wide.
Depth. And then on top, the fucking beautiful cherry on top is Morricone's fucking composition. On top of that is so perfect and epic. It just made for a complete package of just absolute epic cinema, man. It was so fucking good, dude. So good. And then I also gotta wonder, like, I was thinking, like, it's easy to take Morricone's compositions for granted because it's just so well known now. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, what was it about the West that made him think of these sounds, like that whistling and those, the up and down, whistling.
Yeah. Well,
what was it about the West? He's Italian. He doesn't know anything about the American West, but for some reason, to us, it fits fucking perfectly. It's like something subconsciously about it that just is right.
Well, so
even though it has nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, all I know is that Leon requested that he wanted a theme that was similar to the one that was used in Rio Bravo.
Okay.
Which is
so there was something that he had a direct something to reference
directly. And so like when he did it, he didn't want to do the same thing. And what Morricone says is that he went more with he wanted it to be more of a lullaby. His idea is that this is the sound of a Western lullaby.
Whoa, that's so fucking Italian and so cool.
Yeah.
It's so fucking Italian and so cool.
Yeah, and he says they're similar, you use blah blah blah. He adds that what makes the two themes similar, the one between this and then Rio Bravo, is that it's the execution of it, not the arrangement of it. So how it's performed versus how it was written or whatever.
Gotcha.
But I mean, there's a lot of things you could look up on how he wrote the stuff, and there was like they wanted to use the same horns from that song, but like they found out they thought they were public domain, and then they weren't, so they went with another one, and they couldn't get it right, and it ended up being this, and they liked it better.
Wow!
So yeah,
that's way cool.
There's just that's a whole other podcast. It's just talking about scores.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, that's true.
But they Yeah, this movie, that whole sequence, like you're saying, it's just so fucking epic.
Dude, I got chills, dude.
Yeah.
They were multiplying.
Yeah, and that's to me, like, that's what film does. Like,
yeah, dude.
You can't look at any other medium and have it do that, because like you are, the only way to get that is to film it. You can't paint it.
Right.
You know, you can paint it, but then it's this still thing. Like the fact that it's real people standing in this place, and the only way you can see it is through a camera,
right?
And in a moving camera.
Right.
Even a still picture of it doesn't give you that whole sweeping epic sense of it. You know, the motion isn't really there. Yeah. So that to me is like the magic of film, really.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, throughout this whole podcast, I've always said that I don't have time for films. That's why I don't watch movies. I'm not a fucking fan of I'm not a movie guy, you know. But dude, it's moments like this, man, where I'm like, yeah, you know, it is a fucking really powerful medium when it's done right. And man, did Leon do it fucking right here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And then to top that off, after that, the great shootout scene happened, and then you get the great shot, the POV shot of Ramon going down, and you see,
oh man, I am a whore for POV shots,
dude,
and that is so badass.
And you just see Clint Eastwood standing still, and then the camera's just like, whoa, because he's going down. He's like, oh,
and that wooziness,
and then it goes up, and he sees the sun. Oh, it was so awesome, dude.
It's so well done.
It was just so fucking cool.
And that was reminding me of, you know, like, there's those pretty badass POV shots in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
Which, like, don't really have a purpose other than to, like, look badass.
Kind of cool, yeah.
But, like, this, it is a purpose. Like, we're seeing the main villain baddie, die because we are him
from
now.
his eyes.
It's so neat. And it was so, like, the second it starts to be a POV, you're like, I just got shot.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was VR before VR.
Yeah.
Do a VR version of this movie, everyone's going to be falling into their tables and shit, you know? Because you know how they do when you play VR, the people run into their tables and shit like that.
The TVs. Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really is just like a beautiful work of art, man. It really is. The whole movie is, and I can't wait to do Good, Bad, and the Ugly, which my dad will be on, so look out for that. And I'm putting it on the record now so that I don't fucking forget.
I think this is like the third or fourth time it's been on the record.
Okay,
better
good.
not forget.
All right, yeah.
So, this movie though got a lot of, like, it was a hit when it finally came out, and it's now hailed as a classic, like you're talking about. Like, those moments are why. But it was like just shit on.
When it came out?
Bad, yeah.
No way. Bad reviews?
One review.
What do the critics know?
Yeah, one is A Fistful of Dollars looks awful. Okay.
Wow, wrong.
Has a flat, dead soundtrack and is totally devoid of human feeling. Did you watch the same movie? Like, what movie is he watching?
Dude, but see, that speaks to how kind of ahead of its time it was, because these critics are expecting, you know, Jimmy Stewart being like, oh, it's a wonderful life.
Yeah.
And then you get awesome epic stuff, and this guy's like, I don't get it. I'm smart, but I don't get it.
You know, it was called, like, cliche, campy. They said that Clint Eastwood was a parody.
Wow.
Somebody said he is a morbid, amusing, campy fraud.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Now, when this movie was originally being made, it was called, where I have this written down. Okay.
I don't know how Clint kept making movies after that.
Il Magnifico Stranerio, or The Magnificent Stranger.
Oh.
And nobody told Clint Eastwood that the name got changed to Fistful of Dollars, and I'm not even going to say that one in Italian.
Well, let me try it. Let me see it.
Hold on. It was see, the one I watched it with the original Italian what do you call it? Title cards, and everything was in. When it started, I was like, I wonder if this is going to be in English at all. But let's see. Let me pull up. Oh, where'd it go?
Oh, you mean the one that you were streaming had the Italian title cards?
But it was in English, so here we go. And it is right here.
The original title.
Yeah.
Oh. Per un pungo di dollari.
Yeah.
That's cool,
which
man.
I think actually means like for a bunch of dollars or something, and then it got translated to Fistful of Dollars, and then Fistful of Dollars is not, when you translate that back to Italian, it's not that far off from that one. So I don't know how that all works. But yeah, so nobody told him it was changed to Fistful of Dollars. So for like 3 weeks there was all this like buzz and positive reviews. This was in 67, he made it in like 64. And he had no idea that he was getting like praised for this movie doing so well until one of his agents found it, was like, no, that's your movie. That's the one you were in. They changed the name. And he's like, oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, oh man, some other lucky bastard, beat me to it. I guess I missed the boat.
I'm sure with Clint Eastwood,
my movie's not doing too well.
I'm sure with Clint Eastwood, it wasn't even that. It was just like, I haven't heard the name of the movie I was in, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That. Fuck it.
Sure. Didn't you have some stories about how he was on set or whatever, that he seemed kind of cool?
Yeah, I mean, just
whatever?
like the way he dealt with Leone, and just like they worked well together because of their everything had to go through an interpreter, obviously.
Yeah,
which made it pretty difficult. But like his whole thing was, there's no electricity on set, so there was no bathrooms or trailers. He was like, I just pissed behind a rock. Yeah, he was just like, he's like, whatever. He wasn't. He was very not Hollywood about the whole thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
And there was only like I said, he brought a lot of his own costume and everything, and this movie was insanely low budget, and they only had one of everything, so which is unheard of for a film. Usually you have like 3 or 4 in different. Like 3 or 4 of each different stage of a movie's props, So like one costume, you might have 20.
Yeah,
they only had the one.
Yeah, and
so he would just take it home with him every night to make sure it didn't get stolen.
That's crazy.
That badass fucking what is that? A cowhide vest that he's wearing?
Yeah,
with like the fluff underside thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
cool, man.
So he was just pretty cool about it, and I know that in the Italian or the European posters, Clint Eastwood is not on them.
Wow.
Because he's just some, American guy. They didn't care.
Right.
So he wasn't on there. And in the U.S. network television debut of the movie, when they finally showed it on American television, they filmed an additional prologue. And this was in like 75.
Okay.
When it finally made it on television. And Harry Dean Stanton, I don't know if you know who that is. Yeah. Uh-huh. He played this unidentified lawman who was giving orders to the Joe character to go to San Miguel and rid the town of gangsters in return or in exchange for a pardon, and
to make him seem more of like a clear-cut good guy.
Yeah, and to give it more plot. You know? And
that ruins it though.
Eastwood was not a part of that.
Yeah.
Sergio Leone was not a part of that.
Right.
They didn't even know it happened. Right. It was all done with a double. And then old footage of
they didn't even Eastwood. Know that it happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then it was just like stock footage of Eastwood's face, and then it was a double from behind or whatever.
Wow.
And it was added to the beginning of the movie for the American audiences.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So, and it's absolutely unneeded.
Yeah, we don't. No, totally.
It's just we don't need that shit. Who cares? We watch the movie. I get it.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be a reason he's going to this town. He's wandering. He's a wanderer.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up.
Okay.
Oh, other than Sergio Leone was looking for the perfect hangman's tree.
Yeah.
From the beginning. And they were, driving around, and he saw one on this farmer's land. And so they went to the farmer's house, and they said that they were highway officials who were in charge of removing dangerous trees. And they stole this guy's tree.
Really?
Dug up his tree and brought it to set.
Dang, so they kind of took a page out of the plot, where they dressed up as an agency that they're not, just to rip someone off.
Rip someone off, yeah.
Wow.
To steal this guy's fucking tree.
Wow, that's fucking hilarious.
So, all right. Well, you want to do some numbers?
Yes. Let us get into those numbers, baby. Give me your numbers. Give me your numbers, girl. What's your weekend domestic and world box office number, girl? It gets better and better every time.
Oh, man.
think.
Just cleaner and smoother.
It's really succinct and to the point, and
so much so.
All the fat is cut, and I know exactly where I'm going with it. Yeah. And that's why this is a quality show.
I mean, it is the fistful of dollars of mid podcast segment intros.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah. All right. So the estimated budget on this movie was $200,000.
That's honestly higher than what I thought you were going to say.
Really? Now I don't know how many lira.
I was going to say. Yep. Yeah. Okay. And what box office numbers are we going on here? Am I going with Italian release?
I do have, despite the additional regular. So I have the Italian gross. I don't know if this is all time or not, but I do have the Italian box office gross. So let's call it all time.
But it's only Italian numbers?
No, I have other ones too.
Okay.
But since it was an Italian film for 3 years before it became
so you have the Italian all time.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. But what am I guessing first?
So guess the Italian.
All time?
Yeah.
I'm going to say...
Oh, no, wait, this says more than any Italian film up to that point. So this is just like its original theatrical run in
Okay,
Italy.
And you said more than any Italian film up to that point. So I'm going to guess that it was pretty low.
I have it in lira and dollars.
I'm guessing that what the rest of the sentence was, it was the box office returns were so low, more than any Italian release at that point. So I'm going to guess it made about 100,000 lira. No, just kidding. I'm going to guess 2 million lira.
2 million lira. How many $1 million is that?
Well, I don't know how much
or how many thousand
the dollar was worth at the time. Are we adjusting for inflation?
So give me the dollar.
I'll give you both.
Use. Yeah.
Well, they will be the same thing. I just don't know. Let's just say the dollar equivalent to 2 million lira is what I guess. Okay. Because that's what the number you'll have is, right?
It grossed 2.7 billion lira.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So then let's say $2 million American dollars.
Yeah. All right. Because 2 million lira would be a lot less.
Less, yeah.
So 2.7 billion lira is $4.4 million.
Wow. Okay.
So that was that. So then in 1969, or so in the American box office, it did how well? For the
and we're going
all
time?
I have the original release, then I have the 69 re-release, which it was paired with
Good, Bad, Ugly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or few dollars more. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have the eventual total of United States and Canada.
Okay. I'll say original release, I'm going to say it did also $4.4 million.
4.5.
Whoa!
4.5 million.
I almost nailed that shit.
You almost did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it did a little better, but like per capita, not. But it was still really good.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it was a smash hit. They made more. In '69, it was re-released. And how much did it make in theaters on that re-release?
I'm gonna say it made a little bit less because people were saving their money for the sequel.
Yeah. Well, but remember, this is before VHS and everything was super rampant. So, like, if you wanted to see a movie, you had to go see a movie.
Okay, I'm going to say...
And this is before it was on TV, because we know that it was on TV in
6.3 million.
No, it made less than the first time.
Oh, it did actually make less.
It was 1.2.
It made a lot less.
Yeah. So, now the eventual gross combined of U.S. and Canada, which I think is considered domestic. Maybe Canada's not usually in there. But anyway, the eventual domestic gross is...
Now we're talking all time?
All time. All the way up to whenever this number came out. which was probably 2000 something.
Let's see. I know that it made at least, it was 4.5 the first one, 1.3 1.2 the second one, so then 5.7, right?
Yeah.
So it made at least that. I'm going to say all time it made 6.3.
14.5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So
fatality.
It did pretty well.
I'm out.
It did pretty well. And rightfully so. I think this is a fucking fantastic movie.
I agree, man. For being like a ripoff, usually I wouldn't say ripoffs are good. As a matter of fact, they would piss me off. Like I thought NSYNC was a ripoff of the Backstreet Boys, so I never bought a single NSYNC album. I bought
my wife might fight you.
2 of the Backstreet Boys albums, and
I think
and I said
actually came out first. I'm not certain, but
I'm pretty sure it was the Backstreet Boys because in 1996 Backstreet was back, all right, and NSYNC had just released like their first fucking album. So
that was the first. Anyway.
But yeah, this fucking movie just fucking is so good, dude. I can't deny how good it is.
I had not seen this movie in way too long. Maybe 15 years, maybe more.
I hadn't seen it in about almost damn near 33 years. I hadn't seen it. That's how long it had been.
Now, I have seen Good, the Bad, and the Ugly way more because
brag about it.
That's the one I go to if I'm in the mood for one. And I had forgotten exactly how fucking good this one was.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting when we revisit Good, Bad, and the Ugly. If I'm like, no, yeah, this one still is better. Or
yeah, I'm certainly interested to see what you think about it.
Yeah, so
I'm interested to see it.
Now I need to get your rating before we move on.
Okay, the moment of truth. Out of 10, let's say. Out of 10 gambling debts where out of 10 accusations of cheating and gambling where I have to give up my wife.
Actually.
Yeah, you were going to be actually guy. Yeah. I'm going to give it fucking 9.5.
Wow.
9.5 accusations of cheating and gambling. Yes.
Worth it.
Big scam.
Obviously.
Worth it.
Yeah, there again is another of the exact same plot line. Is the guy with his wife stolen, and then he frees his wife twice.
Yeah, right.
Gets the kid, gives him the money, and says, "Get out." And they're like, But how do we not give you the things?
Yeah.
And he's like,
go.
Just fucking go.
Get out of it. He's a little bit nicer about it than old, his name isn't Yojimbo, but you know what I mean.
Mulberry Bush.
Yeah, Mulberry Bush was a lot meaner about it.
Yeah.
He was like, just get the fuck out of here and never show your face again.
He white fangs him.
Pathetic pussy.
He's more white fangy than just ignoring.
I don't get that reference, but I'm going to say yes.
White fang, it's like he sends the dog, the wild wolf that becomes a friend, and then he has to send him away. So he's like, get out of here, you stupid dog! I don't love you. That's white fanging someone.
Oh, really?
So
I thought that was Old Yeller.
Mean to them. No, Old Yeller. That would be. Shooting that would be shooting.
I was thinking. I always called that white fanging. I always called that Harry and the Henderson.
Yeah, that's white fanging Harry. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Harry and the Henderson is just sort of a ripoff of White Fang.
I've heard of White Snake.
No, that is where you dance on top of a car.
Okay,
gotcha. On the hood of a car.
And you go somewhere again on your own?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, I love how the lyrics that he's like, here I go again on my own. Oh man.
All right.
That's the kind of stuff you come for, huh, people? Okay.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take right there, baby.
Love that.
Oh man, you got to eat the pussy.
Reboot recast.
Okay, it is time for the
What do you have,
dude? All right, so we're just gonna do Clint Eastwood, right?
Clint Eastwood, yeah. Obviously Danny Trejo's gonna be in this movie somewhere Because like, how are you going to make a movie about close-ups?
He should be the old man, the friendly old man. Let him be a good guy. He should. He really should. I would really like him as as the friend. He's paid his dues being the bad guy.
The coffin maker and the fucking saloon guy in this movie are so underappreciated in this podcast. We did not give them enough love. They are so funny and so good.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
That saloon. I love the one guy's laugh. It's just anyway. Their characters were very similar to the Yojimbo one, but like I felt more connected to these guys.
Yeah. I didn't have as much of a connection as you to them.
I just really enjoyed them.
They were great though. Yeah. Well, especially the coffin maker was just had a little bit more personality in this one. I felt, he reminded me of he's just like that much more goofy or something.
Yeah, because he was like, this is a guy who has pretty much lost his marbles. Like he reminds me of like the old prospector. Character, you know,
I could see that.
Not stereotypical, the stock character of the old prospector. You know?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can definitely see that. He was he provided some comedic relief there, here and there.
All right. So that being said, Clint Eastwood. Who the fuck is Clint Eastwood now?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you said that you said every Instagram model would do it. So, like, who's this Instagram model you're talking about?
Maybe. Well, no, I just said his look is comparative to what like people go for now. You know what I mean? As far as just like the overall like coolness and the style and shit. But it's a good question, man, because he was also very, unique. Like everything we were saying about him, it's got to be like a fresh fucking look, man. It's got to be someone that can also capture that fucking cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I just don't. It just seems like a really uphill task right now. I mean, did you have any ideas off the top of your head there, Chaz?
No, I mean, because like everybody's just a little too clean cut, like I'm thinking,
and it would be
like a Chris Pratt, but like that doesn't work.
But also it would be even better if he could be a little bit more of an unknown too, like kind of how Clint Eastwood was. Yeah.
You know who could have done it? He's too old now, but who might have been able to pull it off, and actually kind of did in a way, is Keanu Reeves. But like if you really think about it, John Wick is not that far off from this same character.
That's true. Very quiet, man.
It didn't start out the same way, but like
whoop some ass.
Where now it's just like John Wick comes in because he's got to kick some ass.
Yeah, that's true.
That is what it's a. You take it from the Western and now you move it into the urban.
Yeah,
and that's what John Wick is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to do that, he is definitely a little too old for this particular character.
Now, man, but maybe he's not. Man, maybe he is. He might be a good.
We've seen it,
He might be a good Ramon. But yeah, we've seen it. He might be a good Ramon, though.
Obviously, again, the one that I really go to, and it's because he's already doing it. Pedro Pascal. The Mandalorian is this character.
I thought of that, but isn't he a little too old too?
But the Mandalorian is this character,
right?
Like that is the Mandalorian is.
But he doesn't get to show his fucking face,
Well, he does sometimes. I mean, you've seen.
Oh, does he?
Spoiler alert! Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't watched. I've watched like the first 3 episodes.
Oh, but I'm like, dude, it's so good.
I know, but then they name the fucking Baby Yoda Grogu, and I'm like, dude.
No, they don't. They name it Grogu.
Oh, Grogu. Oh, sorry.
And like that doesn't. Who cares what the fucking baby's name is? You think people are crazy about Yoda? We've done this bit.
I know, but just don't do it.
Yeah. But
just let him be Baby Yoda.
But for this particular character, yes, Pedro Pascal is a little too old. But I don't know. It's just it's gotta be, like,
dude,
like somebody that has like the gruffiness of like a Tom Hardy, but I feel like Tom Hardy's wrong for it too.
Have you? Yeah, totally. Yeah. He is. But have you seen Clint Eastwood's kid?
Who looks just like him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That might be the only option.
I know, but he's so not good. He can't even like.
Does he act?
Yeah. I have seen him in a couple of things. He doesn't. I'll put it this way: he doesn't act.
Really?
Yeah. Like when you look at a picture of him, you're like,
can he squint?
I can already tell you he's not good.
Can he squint?
He's not. He doesn't have the presence on film.
Damn, that's crazy.
If you see a picture of him, that's the best acting he can do.
That's wild.
He's really unfortunately bad. Yeah, where it's just like I'm not even making fun of this
or
guy.
Maybe he's ahead of his time and you're just like one of those critics from back then that called Clint Eastwood, caricature, lazy piece of shit.
He literally is a caricature of
his dad.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well,
I mean, I'm thinking of I keep thinking of
I had an idea.
Western guys
I was gonna say, I'd hate to say this,
there's nobody on Yellowstone that can really pull it off.
I mean, Zac Efron kind of has the look.
I thought that he looks similar to him,
and I could see him squinting and shit. The only problem is that he's already too famous. He is the right age, but he's already too famous.
Yeah, but he's also, if he wanted to reinvent,
but he could do it though. I think he could do it,
especially if he's not as bulky.
Yeah, right. He's slimmed down a little bit.
And you're covered up with a poncho the whole time anyway.
If they shoot it right and stay true to the essence of what Leone did.
Yeah, but if we're doing that.
With close-ups and shit.
But also, if you're doing that.
But get what I'm saying, though. Get what I'm saying, though. Get what I'm saying.
That does get in the whole thing of, why are we remaking this?
Well,
Which is the whole point of the...
But what I'm saying is don't fall into the trappings of... if they were to hire Zac Efron, the director would have to not fall into the trappings of, and the studio would have to not fall into the trappings of, we have Zac Efron, let's show off his body all we can and all this and that. They would have to remain as true as they could to having it actually be just a fucking Western, Yeah. And Zac Efron happens to be the main character. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that could work.
I think it could work, man. I think it maybe could work.
Or... hear me out.
Okay.
The Rock.
I mean...
The Rock is Clint Eastwood, and Raul or Ramon, which was the main...
Ramon.
Which one was the one with the
rifle?
That was
I think those were Ramon.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage.
I really see what you're going for there. And I gotta say... it's the best recasting we've ever done.
I think it really is.
Show.
And everyone else, starting with the little boy, is played by Haley Joel Osment now.
Exactly. Dude, I think we got it. I think that's it.
That is it. 100%.
There's no more debate. Except one of the old men. You have
chosen wisely.
Yes. Except I will say that one of the old men has to be played by... He's dead now, rest in peace. But what's his name? The guy from Dirty Harry that played Poppy. Poppy's got to be in it.
Yeah. And we did say that you got to have Danny Trejo play the
right. So
guy.
everyone else, including the kid, Haley Joel Osment,
now.
Yeah. And then that's
the wife, the mom,
everybody. Fucking everybody.
I would definitely go see that.
I'm paying.
That is worth a remake. Let's just say
I would pay a fistful of dollars to go see that one.
And I would pay a few dollars more. That's right. This has been The Movie Gap. Until next time, Nom in Space.